Welcome to socialremodel.com, and thank you for taking a look at the remodel project analysis calculator and project management spreadsheet. Just going to give you a quick rundown on how to use this spreadsheet for all your rehabs. I think it's a very valuable tool for creating cost estimates, managing budgets, and analyzing scopes of work. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown to help you learn how to use it. Basically what we have here, we have about a couple hundred work items in here for typical tasks that you're going to see on your rehab that are pre-built into this spreadsheet, uh, and you have some unit costs there. So all you really need to know are your quantities, and once you know that, the spreadsheet will automatically calculate your totals. And then we have some other tools here that help you analyze it on a more detailed basis. So what we have here are the general conditions, some typical general condition items that you'd see on a project. We're just going to type in some quantities here to show you how the spreadsheet works. So one dumpster, permit. We're also going to need to turn on the utilities and maybe have a radon system and staging. Now when I'm doing that, notice that those line item totals are coming over here. That is basically the quantity times the unit price, and you're getting a total for labor, material, and sub. It's a pretty simple formula there, but it helps to quickly analyze data based on your quantities. Let's say on the exterior of the building, we're going to have about 2,000 square feet. So we have 2,000 square feet there of painting, and we're going to need a steel entry door. We need a garage door, about maybe 5 windows. Landscaping, got a couple line items already, quantities already put in here just to get this process moving a little quicker. Now over here, what you'll notice, this is a way to analyze the data based on whether you think you can self-perform the work and do it yourself. So if you think you can self-perform some of the work items, all you need to do is put an X in this column here. So let's go through and look at some of the work items that we think we can self-perform. So let's go down to painting. So painting 3 coats, put an X here. Actually, we need to change that to 2000. Put an X there because we think we can paint the exterior of the building ourselves. But what you'll notice is now we have a line item here for 100% subcontracted. That is, if we are to sub out the entire painting job to a painting subcontractor. Then we have a line item here as if we were to self-perform it or do it ourselves. As you can see, that's substantially less because we deducted the labor. So that is essentially just this number minus the labor cost, and you get your material. So you have your self-performed costs, and then you have your self-performed savings over here. So it automatically calculates how much it would cost if you subbed it out, how much it costs if it's self-performed, and how much you're going to save if you do self-perform it yourself. So let's scroll down here. I think we can do the steel entry door. I think we could probably install some windows. And we can do the landscaping. Already got some light items there. So now we have analyzed our data based on self-perform. And again, there are some other work items down here for the interior and exterior, but I'm not going to walk through those because it's very similar on how we're using the data up above. So as you can tell, total items, this is the total cost for labor, material, and then sub. Again, 100% subcontracted over here, and then self-performed. This is based on whether you put an X over here and the column here to determine whether you're going to be doing it yourself or subbing it out. And then you'll notice there's a column here for contingency. Now that's very similar to the self-performed column, except for this is for items that you think you may not need. These are just for contingency items where you just want to account for some extra costs just to make sure you have a little bit of a cushion there. So you can account for those unexpected events or costs that may a rise on your project. So you can go over here and you can place an X in some of the contingency items, items that you think may not be required, but you'd like to include it just to be safe. So I'm doing that over here, and as you can tell, it's throwing that money over here into the contingency amount column. So overall, we have $6,400 in the contingency amount built up. So that's the total there. This is our self-performed savings column there. And that's all based on where we put these X's in these two columns. Now another way to analyze your data here in these columns is with this auto filter. This auto filter will allow you to select the items that you are going to be self-performing based on this X here. So if you select the X, it'll take every item on this list and select every item there that you had put in there to self-perform. So it'll give you a nice little list of all the items that you are going to be doing yourself, give you a nice little checklist and how much your budget is on each item and overall budget for each item for self-perform. Contingency is exactly the same. You can sort it based on contingency items. As you can see, what we have in contingency right now is the radon system, landscaping, mulch. Oh, this is rough electrical, rough plumbing, and it looks like a gas-fired unit and an air conditioning unit. So we've got about $6,464 in contingency. This way you can go through each line item and delete each item if you feel you may not need those items, and that way you can crack down on your budget and get it within a reasonable cost so you can make more money on your job or save money on your job. So we're just going to go back up, select all, get those other line items up here, and you can do those sort and auto filters with any column. It doesn't really matter. Every column has an auto filter, so if you know the cost of something and you want to find that item, you can just do it here. Now we're going to go to the budget tracker. Budget tracker essentially takes the cost that you originally budgeted for in your preliminary estimate, and you can type in what your actual cost was. So let's go through to some of these work items. Let's say this is the painting. On the painting, the prepping the siding, it only cost us 50 bucks. And then on the garage doors, let's say we only spent 600 bucks. So it looks like we were actually under budget there of about $68. On the window vinyls, we spent about $2,500, so we're actually over budget $1,100 there. So it's a good way to analyze your budget and determine whether you are over budget on certain items and where you're under budget, and just gives you a nice analysis so you can determine whether you need to cut some costs or where you need to go on your project. The scheduler is a pretty rough estimate of man hours that each task is going to take. So it's essentially taking the amount of labor cost and dividing it by the labor price per unit. It's a pretty rough way of figuring out how much time it's going to take to perform each item. So let's take a look at some of these items here. So basically one garage door is going to take 0.5 days to perform. Project management, this is another very valuable tool on analyzing scopes of work. Basically this project area here, you can analyze areas of the remodel. So if you want to analyze just the bathroom portion of your remodel, you can go in, select bathroom, and as you can see, it selected all the bathroom work items there. So you have your vanity counters, your vanity cabinets, your toilets, your pedestal sinks, and your faucets, and it'll show you what your quantity is, and you can go in and see how much your budget is. So it looks like in the bathroom we have about 2,400 bucks. If we self-perform it, it's about $1,400, and that's an overall savings in the bathroom of about $945, as you can see down here in the sum. So it's a good way of analyzing what your budgets are for particular areas and making sure you're under budget and on track. The trade sheet here is essentially the same thing as the project area, except for you can analyze the data based on different trades or subcontractors. So let's select the carpentry subcontractor. Now, what we have selected is all the work items that the carpentry subcontractor is going to perform on the remodel. So every single line item that he's going to have to take on during the remodel. And we also have the cost. So we have his budget for each item and total budget overall. So this is a good way to analyze scopes of work if you are comparing bids with one subcontractor to another. You can go through all the line items, make sure they have everything covered. You can also analyze their costs for each line item, and it's a good way to keep your subcontractor honest and make sure he's got everything included, so that way there's no hiccups later on. This is also a great way to go through a checklist with your subcontractor during the job and make sure there's nothing missing and everything's getting finished up. And subcontractor supplier, it's essentially the same thing as the trade sheet, except for you can put a subcontractor's name into this column over here, and you can organize the data based on the subcontractor's name. We have a couple other items here that I'd like to discuss real quick. This is the quick stats column. It's essentially gives you a breakdown of what the repair cost would be if you subbed out the entire project. So $36,000 to sub out the entire project. If you were to self-perform those line items over here that you selected in this column, then you'd have about $10,000 worth of savings. So self-performed overall, it'd be around $25,000. And then this remodel budget after property is under contract, that's basically what I use as a gauge. That's essentially the self-performed cost minus the contingency amount. So it's really the best case scenario. If you think that you can self-perform all those line items and feel comfortable with that, and that you can cut out all that contingency, then the remodel budget may be able to cut down all the way to $18,785. And now here at the bottom, this is the last item here at the bottom. Basically, you have your trades and their hourly rates, daily rates, and weekly rates. It's just kind of a gauge for you to know what different trades are charging per hour. So if you were to hire somebody by the hour or by job, you can know what the rates are and make sure that they're staying honest, and you'll know what rate they should be charging and know what budget they should be working with. And that is overall the remodel project analysis calculator. I appreciate you taking a look at it, and if you do have any questions, feel free to make some comments on the forum or go to our feedback section and ask us some questions there. So I appreciate your time and good luck to you.